Good morning. Just time for another little Wednesday ramble about back in my day and current things that occur. Back in my day, there was a fair few regulations or expected behaviours as far as clothing was concerned. Children were always inspected by their parents before they left the house, and when I say children, I mean 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds. You weren't supposed to wear blue and green. An expression was blue and green should never be seen, something that obviously completely disappeared in the 80s. We had that fluorescent blues and fluorescent greens and some very bright colours. However, your parents would inspect you, your mother mostly, on the way out the door, and they would sometimes spit on their hanky. Yes, spit on their hanky. And if you had a little spot on your face or something, they would wipe it off with a handkerchief and a bit of spit. I don't know why they didn't just use a face washer or a flannel, far more hygienic, I should imagine. However, they gave you an inspection, and if you didn't pass, you'd have to go back and change your clothes to something more suitable. They also had the problem of how your hair looked. They'd always check your hair and that sort of thing. Today there are very few, no regulations really, I suppose, but very few sort of possibly things that should be followed. For example, your shorts should always be longer than your ass cheeks. Not a lot to ask, I don't think. And also I think that your skirt should be longer than your underpants. And I think that's quite reasonable to expect as well. Now, it wasn't only children who had some very strange or peculiar regulations regarding dress. Women, back when I was a child, tended to wear these rope petticoats. Now, they're not made out of rope. They were made out of cotton, and then they had rope woven through these little channels throughout the petticoat to make it stick out and do the nice frilly sort of look, etc. However, an old friend of my mother's had a wonderful dual purpose for her petticoat. She had two boys, and as you know, children are often snotty-nosed. She would whip out the petticoat and wipe the nose of her youngest child on her petticoat and then drop it back under her skirts and adjust it all. And I thought, oh, even at my age, which was about 6 or 7, I thought, ew, that's going to be rubbing against her legs until it dries out. And I thought, oh, well, you know, they used to starch their petticoats, and I suppose she probably saved a lot of money on starch. So I guess that's something. Also about the good old days, not everything was quite so good. The spitting on the face for one, but also there was the government school milk providers. They provided you with a third of a pint, which I guess is what, about 100 mils of milk in a small bottle. However, the budget didn't stretch to providing refrigeration. I guess that was a little bit more expensive or rare, I suppose, but I don't think we still had ice boxes at home, but they would provide you this 100 mils of milk, a third of a pint, and it would arrive sometime in the early morning. However, you didn't get to drink it until around 10 a.m. Now, that was come rain, hail or shine, and when I say shine, I mean hot weather, and that little bottle of milk was sitting there with the protection of nothing to start with, later a little canvas cover over the milk in the crates, but I can guarantee you by 10 a.m. It was not cold, it was quite warm, and had begun to get that lumpy look and taste about it. Something with, to this day, just makes me shudder at the thought of lumpy, almost rancid milk. But you weren't allowed to refuse drinking it, no. It was provided by the government and you would drink it. And a teacher would stand there over you with a stick, and they were known to use a stick in those days if you didn't drink your milk. So I'd be surrounded by children who were greedily woofing down their rancid milk and burping and making these horrible string sort of things between their top and bottom lip from drinking warm, almost off milk. And they were very, very keen, some of them. Looking back, they were probably bloody starving and didn't have any breakfast. But I had had my breakfast, thank you, and I didn't really want warm, rancid milk. However, I was made to drink it, and I'd be gagging, going, "Whoop, whoop, Well, trying to keep that down because the teacher was watching me and I was supposed to drink it. However, if you were quick, you could find one of those ravenous children nearby and just slip it off for an empty bottle and let them have some more, and they were quite keen. So that did save you in a way. So a lot of things today are wonderful, computers and all the rest of it, and refrigeration, not to forget refrigeration. However, the skirts and the shorts leave a bit to be desired. But I bet there's not many mothers these days who'll spit on a hanky. Well, we don't have hankies, do we? We have tissues, and wipe it on your face. So, kids of today, be reasonable. If there's anybody if there's anybody listening to this, be a bit reasonable with your clothing and consider yourself bloody lucky that no one's spitting on your face or checking your colour combinations or making you drink warm, lumpy milk. So, that's life, and that's me for today.